Hey, Shad here with Speed Addicts, the fastest growing gear site on the web. And today we're going to uncrate the KYT NF-R helmet. What's up, SpeedX fan? Before we jump in and give you the rundown on this KYT helmet in front of me here, do us both a favor, subscribe to that Speed Addicts channel. Oh wait, you can do it right now. That way you're up to date on all the latest motorcycle gear and parts coming your way. We're working hard here to educate you and give you the first look at the latest gear, including lids like this one from KYT. One last thing, if you'd like to support us, you could do so by simply shopping with us. This gear that we're going to review today will be available in a link in the description below. It'll take you right over to the KYT selection at Speed Addicts. While you're over there, buy a tire, buy a new set of boots, whatever you need, we've got it at speedaddicts.com. Okay, KYT, in case you're not familiar, it's a big brand around the world, especially in Asia. And if you watch MotoGP, you've been seeing their logo a lot more. They're definitely buying up a lot of the world's top athletes. And they're actually owned by the same parent company as Suomi, which is another brand that you probably only heard of if you're kind of a MotoGP geek. It's more of a niche play. And where Suomi and KYT excel is really their racing helmets. They make a lot of very lightweight, very competent racing helmets. Now, the NF-R here is actually more of a commuter or a touring helmet, but it is race inspired from KYT. It's got the racing lines. It's a really good helmet in terms of looking at it and the graphics or colorways that KYT is putting on their more entry level or even their commuter helmets like the NF-R here are pretty racy. So a lot of times, you know, other manufacturers have pretty pedestrian graphic sets for a helmet like this. Not so with KYT. So if you want something spicy, you watch MotoGP, but you want something that looks good on the way to the office, the NF-R might be a good option for you. So this is a polycarbonate shell here. Again, you've got that interior drop-down sun visor, which classifies it more as a like touring, sport touring, or a commuter helmet. And the price tag is $249. So it's not cheap, but it's not expensive in terms of the higher end helmet offering from KYT or other brands. So again, polycarbonate shell, they call it ADT-advanced thermoplastic shell. Everyone's trying to come up with fun and fancy acronyms, but it's polycarbonate. 3 pounds, 5 ounces. So not bad on the weight when you're considering it is polycarb, and it does have the interior sun visor. DOT and ECE 2205, which is now past its, useful life, so to speak. What we're going to see is a lot of these manufacturers will do running changeovers to EC 2206. Now, this one on the table in front of me is 2205, but we expect their stock to turn over as the new shipments come in. We will update you on the video, and you can always rely on our website to be accurate. So when that change happens and the inventory switches over to the newer safety standard from Europe to that 2206, you should expect to see it on the site. Some manufacturers are choosing to do away with models instead of update them to the new 2206 standard, so we'll wait and see what happens with the NF-R. But it is DOT, of course. Everything in the United States needs to be that we sell here at Speed Addicts. Intermediate oval head shape. And I found it to run true to maybe just a touch snug, but the sizing chart should steer you in the right direction. If you're between sizes, with KYT, I always recommend rounding up. It's usually a safe bet if you're between. Otherwise, order according to the sizing chart and order fearlessly at Speed Addicts because we have no cost returns. That's right. You don't have to worry about having regrets or getting nickel and dimed on the return shipping label like those other guys who sell gear online. You know who I'm talking about. No. Here we're going to treat you like family, going to make a return or exchange situation very quick and painless and at no charge as long as you live in the lower 48 states and the gear's brand new in original condition. So KYT is claiming this is a wind tunnel tested design, and it does look the part here. So kind of a stealthy, slabbing lines on this, and I do like it quite a bit. The rear diffuser is a nice touch. Again, this is something that traditionally you'd only see on more racy, helmets, not this format with the drop-down sun visor. So let's look at the ventilation before we go into the face shield. First up, you have a chin bar vent with a little screen mesh hiding behind it, up and down. They put their logo on there, and I'd give this a B+. It's not a small little vulnerable tab. It's a big sliding bar like that, which I like. It's easy to find, and the KYT logo actually gives you a little bit of a grip and a feel when you're reaching for it with gloves on. Up on top, they've kind of got these stealth bomber vents here. These are pretty sweet looking intakes, and they do the job, and they are switchable. So the switch right here, it's just a slider, nothing fancy, but you can find it with gloves on because it's got a ridge on it. And then I like how they did the gloss accent on this matte black to kind of bring that out. So you can shut down the front ventilation. The rear is passive vents below the diffuser, which is pretty standard fare for a helmet like this. Channeled imported EPS. So hopefully ventilation won't be an issue. What I'd like to see though is ventilation a little bit lower down here, more of a temple vent, so that it blows air kind of into your temples and does a better job of keeping you cool. These are a little bit further back, but hopefully you still get a nice Venturi exhaust and suck that hot air out of the helmet. Class 1 optically correct face shield, injection molded, sturdy face shield here. You know, lesser face shields that are thin, they tend to leak more air and water. They don't inspire a lot of confidence if you do take some big shrapnel out there on the road. And the nice thing about this KYT NF-R face shield is that it is pin lock prep. They're not going to include the pin lock insert. It's a fog, anti-fog system. The pin lock insert sold separately. You will have to buy that and install that on the inside here. So if fog's a problem, make sure you get that pin lock insert separately. The ratcheting mechanism is firm here. We have some pretty strong detents, a number of them. It looks like about 5 or 6. So if you're the type of rider that wants to get a little bit more air, it's hot, humid, muggy, you can crack this open and expect it to stay where you put it. Stay KYT. Okay, back open. We see interior smoked shield. They didn't go with a fancy cable system, which I tend to like better. You get a smoother motion with a lot of the cable mechanisms that are down lower on the bottom edge of the helmet. They went with a lower tech lever option. It does the job, but it's just a little clunky. It's okay. And there we go. We'll put it back up in the upright position. So that's how you actuate that. You can remove these if you need to, but you know, typically you shouldn't have the need. It can be a little tricky to fish these interior sun shields back on their rails. Now, the good thing about having the actuator for your sun visor up on the pivot up here by the face shield is that it's not on that edge and it's not going to interfere with a comm system. So if you like to run a comm system with a clamp style mount, which is the most secure as opposed to an adhesive mount, well, you've got nothing to compete with. There's also no weird angles or other things to compete with down here for mounting your comm system. So it's going to be very easy, and there are speaker pockets waiting for your speakers on the inside of this face shield. That about does it for the exterior. Again, just a good looking design that they came up with over at KYT. And if you look at all the graphics over at Speed Addicts, you'll notice, like I said, you can get some pretty cool looking stuff that looks like racer replicas, typically only on kind of the higher end street or racing helmets. Okay, we have a chin curtain, which is kind of a mesh. It's going to help keep the helmet a little bit quieter and hopefully keep some of the air turbulence out of your helmet. Inside the chin bar, we have the vent from that chin bar vent. Let's pull that up out of the way. Whoops, sorry, wrong direction. There you go. There you go. You can see the KYT imprint here. They got their logo on the inside. So it's finished pretty nicely for a helmet that's well below the $200 price point. Let's get this chin strap out of the way. Double D ring closure. You notice there are emergency pulls on the cheek pads in case you do test this helmet. Hopefully you don't. But if EMS has to get you out of it carefully, they will do so by pulling those tabs and getting the comfort liner out of the way. So here are the cheek pads. One and the same with the neck roll here. And we will remove these. There you go. You also notice that they've called out that they're eyeglass compatible. So my disclaimer with eyeglass compatible is typically, it depends on the shape of your head, your face, and your glasses. But this one is generally friendly to different eyeglasses. Let's pull the bottom cheek pad out of the way, and we'll show you those speaker pockets here. The liner is removable, washable, relatively easy to service, so you can wash this in the sink, let it air dry. Just don't put it in the washing machine. There you go. So down below, that is a cheek or a speaker pocket. It's a little on the small side. If you've got big JBLs, you might have to use their spacer puck to bring it out and mount it a little bit further out. But either way, you got this pull tab, to get this out of the way if you are going to mount your speakers in there. There you go. Let's pull out the rest of the comfort liner. And you will notice the EPS is, channeled for your cooling pleasure. One more, here we go. There it is, the comfort liner. Pretty nice looking. I like the little vent windows up at the top. It's all laser sealed here, or thermo sealed, laser cut. And pretty nice looking liner with plenty of low density foam. Some of the racing helmets from KYT, the liners are a little bit more hardcore. They don't have this much squishy foam, and thus they're not quite as comfy for those longer commutes or rides. They're more made for, you know, a track session. So that is the comfort liner there. Inside, you notice plenty of channels and ports, very aggressively channeled and ported for your cooling situation, all the way down to the base of your noggin. 3-year warranty from KYT. It is the NF-R full face drop down helmet from those folks at KYT. You want a bit of a little racing DNA, but a more practical helmet for all sorts of different lighting conditions. It's worth a look. That does it. If you still have questions, go talk to our rider support team. They're pros, and they can help you over the phone, email, or live chat. And if you got one of these, sound off in the comment section below. That's all I got for you. See you next time to find out what's in the crate.